Hello everyone and welcome back to Quantum Football. Today I'm going to bring you guys basically grading all of the Hello everyone and welcome back to Quantum Football. Today I'm going to bring you guys all of the free agent signings. I'm going to grade them, all of them. I'm going to grade all of the signings, all the teams. Now I'm going to split this into two parts. This video is going to be the NFC. Next video is going to be the AFC. So, if you like the content, make sure you subscribe, like the video. Comment down below what kind of stuff you want to see on the channel. I'm open to all the ideas. So, let's get right into it. So, my Arizona Cardinals. I thought the J.J. Watt signing would be. I kind of changed my mind on the J.J. Watt signing. I thought at first, okay, we're just overpaying for a veteran like we always do, and it's just going to not be great. But I saw last year what Tom Brady did to the Buccaneers, and I'm like, maybe you can do that for us on defense. So I think that's, an above average, signing. And I think in this video, B is the expected signing, basically. And then obviously C is average. So it's above average, and they actually weren't expecting to get him, which is kind of exciting. We're I even said at one point, I'm like, okay, well, people were doing weird Twitter stuff where JJ Watt tweeted out something and they try and connect all these dots to make their team fit. And I just couldn't do that for the Cardinals. And, so, I gave up on it, and they signed him. So I just need to give up on more players more often, I guess. But, yeah, A.J. Green, I don't like this nearly as much. I think he could be potentially elite, but it does seem like he was regressing. So I don't personally like it. But, yeah, he has the potential at least. Marcus Golden is kind of like a rotational guy, and he's getting paid borderline starter money, so I don't really like it, but it makes sense why they did it. So yeah, Rodney Hudson, this was my favorite signing by far for the Cardinals. Center was a huge problem for them last year, and they got one of the best centers in the league in Rodney Hudson for only a third-round pick, which is pretty crazy. So I would definitely take that. We're going to be much better in the run game, probably much better in pass protection as well. Overall, I just like it. And, overall, I'm going to give them a B+. The San Francisco 49ers. They made a lot of expected signings in Kyle Juszczyk and Trent Williams. Juszczyk is one of the best fullbacks, if not the best fullback in the NFL. It's not really, worth too much, but, he did get paid, $5.5 million per year, which is it's pretty decent. Jason Verrette, he got paid severely under what I think his value actually is. I think his value $7 to $8 million per year, and he could have been paid a whole lot more, especially with the season that he had. The main thing is his injury concerns, right? This was his only healthy season so far. And this is a win-win for the 49ers. I mean, if he doesn't work out, he only costs you $3 million probably, because the rest are probably incentives. He costs you basically nothing, right? This is basically backup money. So it's tremendous value for that. Trent Williams, this is kind of what we expected to happen. That's why it's a B. Otherwise, yeah, Alex Mack, he's one of the better centers in the NFL. He is aging, so he's not nearly as good as he used to be, but he like I said, this is basically the backup rotational money. So if you're giving that to almost elite, or at least he was elite, it's worth it in my opinion. So overall, another B+. I think if I had to rank them between the Cardinals and the 49ers, I would put the 49ers above the Cardinals, but you could probably put it either way. The Seahawks made a lot of moves, and even in like crazy cap situation, I think they were like negative 20 or something. So the fact that they could pull this off is pretty crazy. But Poona Ford, man, he's one of the better defensive tackles. And the fact that they got him for 2 years, so it's not like a prove-it deal on like a 1-year deal, and then he like goes out and gets much more money next off season, like many of these guys are doing. No, they got him for longer, and then like that's not what he's worth. He's way better than, you know, like average starter, which is what they're paying him. Like, it's just crazy the value they got out of him. Gerald Everett, he's like top 10, top 15 tight end in the NFL. Yeah, I mean, other tight ends in this free agency got paid. So the fact that Gerald Everett came out here, got on a 1-year deal, the Seahawks, you know, they could eventually grab tight end, but this satisfies their situation for now, and they won't like need to draft one, right? Kel Witherspoon, this guy is on a prove-it deal, but I think it was either this one or another guy that I'm thinking of who was a bit all over the place. I don't know if it's Kel Witherspoon or not, but yeah, he basically, either one of these guys have the potential to be very good starters. So I think this is good value for $4 million. Chris Carson, now if he signed for like 4 years, like $52 million, or 4 years, $42 million, like somewhere in the range that Aaron Jones got, just a little bit less, I would hate the signing. Like, it would be awful. I just don't think the Seahawks can afford to pay huge on a guy for a second contract on a running back. I just don't think that's a good idea. Now, if they structured it in a way where it was like they could cut him after 2 years if he doesn't perform, like people are doing that now, but I would much rather they do this, just so that they don't put themselves in that situation. So that's why it's a B. It's on a team-friendly contract, but I think they could have given Rashad Penny and DJ Dallas a chance. But it does make a lot of sense, so that's why it's a B. These last two edge guys are just like rotational guys in any other system, but for the Seahawks, they might be starters. So seems like they had to pay him that, maybe. I don't like it. I don't like when you're tied to guys who can't play too good. So yeah, I'm gonna give them a B. A lot worse than the other guys, but they did get some value in the other guys, like much better value than the Cardinals and 49ers did. Man, the Rams are, yeah, I don't like these at all. Matthew Stafford, if they go on to be Super Bowl contenders for like the next 4 years, this is worth it. But I think in order for it to be truly like a good deal, they have to win one of those. And I think Matthew Stafford probably has at max 4 years. He could go more potentially, but I'm going to say for now, 4 years is his max. And Leonard Floyd, yes, he had like a 15-sack season, which is ridiculous, but he was playing right next to Aaron Donald, who took triple teams for him. So, you know, I could probably get 16 sacks, which I'm exaggerating, obviously, but you get my point, right? It's really easy to get 15 sacks with Aaron Donald right next to you. So, yeah, I don't like it at all. I would rather they let him go in free agency, or maybe you sign him to like a 2-year deal for a lot less money. He looks even better next season, or, you know, just as good, and then you trade him away, right? And you get like a first-round pick for Leonard Floyd, right? You make bank with Leonard Floyd by trading him away, get an extra first-round pick. You know, let's say on average, it's going to be like a mid-first-round pick. You could draft a guy like Leonard Floyd on a rookie contract, which is, you know, much cheaper. So I don't like this personally. So, but you can justify it. I just would rather them spend this on like, you know, probably Shoot, what do you spend on for the Rams? That's actually a good question. I guess you could go out and get a better edge, like Carl Lawson. Carl Lawson's probably better. You probably... shoot, what are the Rams' needs? I guess you could grab like a wide receiver, maybe. Good tight end. Yeah, that's what they could have spent it on. But yeah, maybe it's not nearly as bad as I'm saying because they didn't have too many other needs, but still, like, I don't like the money that they paid for him. It's just way too much for me. That's why I give him a C+ overall. And you're probably saying to yourself, why should it not be a C overall? I'm giving them the benefit of doubt for both these signings. So, like, it's like borderline C+ B- and borderline C- C. So that's why it moves up to a C+ for me. The Washington football team made probably one of the most, or the most interesting signings in free agency so far. Taylor Heineke, the guy who balled out in the playoff game against the Bucs, put up the biggest fight against the Bucs, by the way. You know, biggest fight against the Bucs. Chiefs put up nothing. Taylor Heineke, better than Patrick Mahomes. Whoa. Just saying. And they're paying him only $8 million. Like, damn, I want Mahomes. I want Mahomes for $8 million. Like, god damn. But seriously, like, he is pretty high upside, is what I'm saying here. So, you know, getting him on a 2-year deal, I think, is, like, basically ideal for the Washington football team. Because, sure, he could be, like, third string. But that's, like, worst case scenario. Like, more likely, he's probably a career backup. And, you know, he probably deserves it for balling out so hard. Best case scenario, he's, like, top 15 starter for his career. Which is crazy. But, you know, I think we're probably overblowing this a little bit. I know. But, you know, it could be worth it. Brandon Sherf, I don't like the franchise tag on him. He's like one of those guys who plays good in a bad offensive line. And spending so much on it, I would rather them go out and, you know, address it in the draft. Maybe get a guy in free agency who doesn't cost as much for you, who can, you know, play tackle for you, much more valuable position. But I get it. At the same time, you can justify it. That's why it's a D+. If he ends up signing for a long-term deal, this becomes like a B+, which I think, in theory, I should be saying it's a much better franchise tag, but I just don't like it. Because you're kind of hindering yourself if you can't get a long-term deal signed. William Jackson, I don't think they really needed William Jackson, to be honest, but it's not a bad signing by any means. So, yeah, it's like not bad value either. So, yeah, B+ for that. Curtis Samuel, I find really interesting because I think he's worth more than like a Corey Davis. Corey Davis just signed for more money. So, yeah, that's good for him. Yeah, he got paid less on average than Nelson Aguilar. Just saying. Wait, did he? Or it's like 0.5 million more. Yeah, 0.5 million more than Nelson Aguilar. So, just saying. Pretty damn good. He's going to be the wide receiver 2 behind Terry McLaurin, and you know, that's just going to help the offense all around, to be honest. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, I know you guys are going to hate me. I gave him a B, but trust me, it's just how it is. Ryan Fitzpatrick is not like nearly the quarterback that we want to believe in him. You know, sure, he's like the best thing for the NFL, but you know, if anything, like this is a good media signing for the football team, which sounds bad, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? He's good for the NFL. And, yeah, he'll rejuvenate Washington football team fans, that's for sure. And, yeah, overall, B-, Brandon Sherf heavily dragging down this. But if they get a long-term deal done, we get to see him moving up to, like, A-, B+ territory. The Dallas Cowboys, this was interesting because I thought I would shit on them relentlessly this video. So I'm like, oh, you overpaid Dak. He's not worth $40 million. But when you look at it, fundamentally, when you look at it through a clear lens, after, overreacting for a little bit, it's probably justified. I would not blame Dallas. I do not blame Dallas at all for doing this. And I think he probably could have asked for more, especially with the kind of situation he was in. Off the franchise tag, I would not be surprised. I would have not been surprised had he signed for more than what Patrick Mahomes is getting. And the thing is, you might be thinking to yourself, oh, he's injury prone. That was his first injury. He's been pretty sturdy ever since, or before. So if he's healthy, I think this is worth it. The only problem is, I don't know if he can win games with the current roster, right? Which is where the rest of these free agents come in. So I think these guys overall are very solid. Tyrell Basham, he's like a decent starter. How did they get him for this little money? I don't know. And it's not like he's a bad player starting for a bad defensive line. It's like he's pretty decent. I wouldn't say he's above average. He's probably a bit below average, but you're getting huge value out of this. This would be a backup guy getting money. And these secondary guys, Jordan Lewis, I didn't like nearly as much because I don't think he's nearly as good as someone you should be paying for that much. But at the same time, maybe he's a CB3 for them. And CJ Goodwin, he's been a bit all over the place. He's a bit unreliable, but if he has 2 more solid years, this will be one of the best signings of free agency when looking back. And Keanu Neal, very solid for them. I think they're going to experiment with how they use Keanu Neal, but he was one of the better players for the Falcons last year, so good signing for them. So overall, I just have to give them an A-. I know. Who would have thought that this was the case? But, I mean, you can't, say no, I guess. The Eagles, quietly having the best free agency. Anthony Harris, how in the world did they get him for $5 million? This just blows my mind. He was one of the best safeties in the NFL in 2019. One of the best safeties in the NFL in 2018. He just had a bad year last year. So, probably should have been paid 2019 money, right? He's betting on himself, is basically what he's saying here. He's I'm going to be way better, and I'm going to get paid next offseason. If he would have gone for a long-term deal, probably 3 years, $27 million, right? That's probably what he'd have gotten. But if he balls out next year, any team he goes to, they're going to probably pay him better than what Josh Johnson's getting, better than maybe even what Justin Simmons is getting right now. So, I'm going to grade those later. But, that's just saying something, right? And safety is pretty undervalued. So, yeah. I think it's even undervalued. Undervalued. How did they get... this is a huge steal. Huge steal. And looking back now, I should give them an A+. Joe Flacco should not be bringing them down as much as, I'm putting the process in my head as oh yeah, the money, yeah, it should be affecting. But realistically, I should be giving it an A+. At the same time, they put themselves in cap hell in the first place, so maybe they deserve only an A here. The Giants, they've had one of the noisiest free agencies in this offseason. Leonard Williams, while I do think he could be one of the more elite edge rushers, at the same time, he's only had one really good season, and the rest has been development up to this point. So you paid him a lot. I think he's a bit overpaid in this case. The rest of these, I like Kenny Golladay, another case of them overpaying, but they kind of like had to. They had to get a wide receiver this free agency. Reason why is because if Daniel Jones doesn't play well, they have to move on, find a rookie quarterback next year, and try a win a Super Bowl, or at least be a playoff team with these core guys. So this is like one of his Josh Allen moments. If he balls out next year, he is going to... These free agency signings are going to look like, no-brainers. But if he, doesn't give any production to any of these guys, and, if they go, 4-12, these are going to look like stupid, dumb, stupid signings, because why would you go out and spend all this money when you have to start rebuilding? So, yeah, this hinges a lot on their next season. But I'm going to give it a B because I think this is what they were expected to do overall. The Saints made some interesting moves. They restructured, that's why that's in yellow. They restructured Taysom Hill's contract for 4 years, $140 million. And while it looks really weird, I also hear that 3 of those years are void years, meaning that you can cut them and it won't be that big of a deal, which is really weird to me. Are they just manipulating the cap somehow, you sus little Saints? What? That sounded really bad. Did not mean it. Don't think about it too much is what I'm saying. Yeah, I made it NA for Taysom Hill because I don't know what the fuck is going on there. But Jameis Winston, I thought was okay, but when you think about it like this, if you're paying Jameis Winston starter money when you have another QB in Taysom Hill who probably is starting next season, it doesn't make too much sense to me. Now, I think a lot of this is incentives, but he's one of the higher end backups. I don't know. I just don't like it. And if they start Jameis Winston, you can't really justify restructuring Taysom Hill for a huge amount of money, right? But other than that, PJ Williams, Marcus Williams, decent. I think PJ Williams has the potential to be a decent starter for them. And Marcus Williams is one of the better safeties in the NFL, probably top 10. So putting the franchise tag on him, as a sort of semi-prove-it deal is decent. But yeah, I would rather them sign a long-term deal for Marcus Williams, these other guys. Overall, I'm going to give them a B+, mainly because I'm giving them a benefit of doubt for the Taysom Hill thing. So, yeah, the Falcons. Why? I kind of expected this, to be honest. I kind of expected this. I was they're probably sticking with Matt Ryan. They probably have faith in their players to, try and make a Super Bowl run despite their awful record last year. And I think that's kind of valid. They their points differential was -18, which is what an 8 team has. And it could have been even better than that, to be honest. So the thing is, the reason why I don't like this restructure is because of the huge cap hit in 2022. You're basically eliminating you ever being able to draft a quarterback this draft, or at least one in the first round, right? Because when you have to start Matt Ryan for 2 more years, I just don't think it's worth it to grab a QB, right? So I get it that they have faith in their players, but overall it's not good. The rest of the signings, I like Mike Davis, the backup for McCaffrey last year, played pretty damn well despite being a backup, obviously. And he might end up being their starter, and this is backup money, 100%. So, like it a lot. Younghoe Koo, one of the better kickers in the NFL, only got him for less than $1 million, which is pretty insane. So, yeah. Overall, C- though. It's just I don't like the restructure. It really weighs down on this for the Falcons. The Panthers have one of the more polarizing free agencies so far. Franchise tagging Taylor Bolton, one of the worst tags, I would say, that I've seen in a while. It doesn't make too much sense to me. you either want to rebuild that offensive line or you want to, sign him for a long-term deal to try and improve the other guys on the line. But when you do this sort of thing where you tag him and you haven't made a deal yet, that's telling me that he doesn't want to be there, meaning that you probably should have let him go, right? So, if they end up signing him for a long-term deal, then this obviously boosts it up a lot, and overall their free agency is going to be better, but that's not the case so far. So, yeah. Hassan Reddick, however, crazy value. Edge rushers get paid a lot. I know I put him as a linebacker, but more of an edge rusher, outside linebacker guy. Probably should have been paid 3 years, $35 million, at the very least. So getting 1 year's $8 million is crazy value for him. Reason why it's not an A+ is because he has an elbow risk to him. He had his semi-breakout season last year, so not necessarily a guaranteed thing for him, but I think it's very good value. Morgan Fox, I don't really like this. More rotational starts sometimes, but he could be a good starter, but overall I just don't like these deals in general where you pay a lot of money for rotational guys. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather pay higher upside guys for way less money who can develop behind the starters. But yeah. David Moore, though, crazy value for a wide receiver 3 who's heavily involved in the offense. How did this happen? I don't know. Love it. Overall, I think I'd have to give it a C. One of the more important positions, or position sets, I guess you could call them, they just completely blew this offseason, which drags us down a lot. Otherwise, they got good value for these other players. The Bucks. How did they do all this? I don't understand. What? They just got discounts upon discounts upon discounts. Just how? They still have cap space, by the way, which blows my mind. Just give them an A+. Let's get out of here. The Vikings, Dalvin Tomlinson is one of the most underrated defensive tackles, in the NFL. So the fact that they get him for $10.5 million per year is crazy. I think he's probably top 5, which is it's insane. Yeah, I know. Ideally, they would have signed him to a 4-year, 45, maybe 4-year, $50 million contract, and I think that would have been even still it would have been better for the team overall because they wouldn't have to pay him later on when he absolutely performs for him. But at the same time, I understand it. They probably don't think he's nearly as good as I think he is. Nick Vigil is more of a depth piece. It's one of the only other signings they made, so just wanted to mention it. And Patrick Peterson, I don't really like the signing because I just think you're overpaying for a veteran at this point. I love Patrick Peterson, don't get me wrong. And I think he's probably more of a locker room guy who has experience, can maybe make the defense better overall, which I think has some merit, but I think there's guys that can do that. You don't have to overpay for in free agency. So yeah, overall, I'm going to give them a B. They haven't really made too many moves is the thing, so yeah. I like the Dalvin Tomlinson signing, though. The Lions, they've been pretty active, but not huge signings by any means. They kind of been screwed by the cap for a while. Not a very well-run organization, obviously, but I think they might be getting on track with Dan Campbell. They traded away Stafford for Goff, and in that trade, they just got insane value out of it. A overall for that. 2 future firsts, which I know is not like nearly as good, but it could end up being that like Matthew Stafford doesn't adjust to the system as well this year, and they might not make the playoffs in the NFC West. So that could be like a 17-18 pick this year, and then that same thing could happen the following year. So what I'm saying here is could be 2 mid-first round picks, in which case this is a steal, like absolute steal, but more likely probably 20 to 30 range for both of them, in which case it's still great value. Romeo Quora, he kind of showed out last year, but this is like the type of money I expected like Dalvin Tomlinson to get at the defensive tackle position, and he's obviously much better at the position than Romeo Quora is. But I think it's a good piece for the Lions to build around on that defense. And the rest of these are just depth piece / spot starters. Jamal Williams, people are like shitting on this so much, I don't get it at all. Jamal Williams is like he's like probably the best backup running back. I'd have to think about that, but I think that's the case. Very underrated in my opinion. People say like, oh, you can just draft one in like the 3rd or 4th round. No, you probably can't draft Jamal Williams in the 4th round. Pairing him along with DeAndre Swift, I just like the fit, honestly. But at the same time, you're paying a running back in free agency when you don't really have to. So it's better than what other people would give, but still not as good to give like a above average grade. Yeah, rest is just depth pieces / Rashad Perriman, Tyrell Williams. Those guys might start, but yeah, not great. They are rebuilding though, so it makes sense that they couldn't like attract like bigger guys. Yeah, I'm gonna give them a B+ overall. I think the Jared Goff trade gets them a huge jump start for the next couple of years, and in 3 to 4 years, I can see them being like borderline. I would say they could definitely be a playoff team in 4 years if they play their card right. Definitely. I don't think it like this deal basically set that up for them, is what I'm trying to say. Why? I don't understand. Why do you do this to yourself? Packers, every offseason, you screw yourselves over. What are you doing? Like, okay, let's break this down, right? You draft Jordan Love in the 1st round. In isolation, okay, sure. Aaron Rodgers is aging. Maybe he's bad next year. Jordan Love, QB of the future, develops behind Aaron Rodgers, just like we did for Brett Favre. That makes some sense. A.J. Dillon, though. You cannot justify drafting A.J. Dillon now. And the thing is, when he played, he looked like a stud. I don't understand why, when you can get a guy who might even be better than Aaron Jones, he's like a ceiling of Derrick Henry, you're going to buy a guy for $12 million a year when you can spend that exact same money on a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster, a guy like Kenny Galladay, who'd probably take a whole lot less money to go to the Green Bay Packers. Marvin Jones, they could have spent that on him and gotten probably another starter. Like, there's just so many better moves you could have made here as the Packers, and you're much more attractive to the other guys. Honestly, when I was going through this and grading them, I was just being a little bit charitable. I'm like, okay, D+, fine, whatever. But putting this out, no, it's an F. It's an F. And guys out there like Colin Cowherd would think this is like a top 10 free agency signing. Get like, they can suck me off. Okay, they can. It's not good. So let's take the angle of the Packers, right? Let's think about this. I guess you weren't expecting to contend this year. Probably. Maybe. I guess that's why you drafted these guys. Maybe you thought in like 2 years you're gonna start rebuilding. Sure, maybe. Why are you signing Aaron Jones then? Why? I guess, especially for 4 years. Like, maybe if they sign him for like 1 year, $12 million, so much better. So much better. I can't see the justification behind a long-term deal for this. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Gonna do the AFC in like a couple of days, like I said. But yeah, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Jeez. I don't know why I decided to end on a... Oh, wait, no, I've got one more team. I forgot. I have one more team. I have one more team to absolutely shit on here. The Chicago Bears. What are they doing? I don't know. So, let's break this down. Allen Robinson, franchise tag. At the time, it makes sense, right? You think you're getting Russell Wilson, potentially. This makes a lot of sense, actually. This makes the most sense. But now that we see that it wouldn't have happened, like, I could probably be more charitable to the Allen Robinson franchise tag. Excuse me. Andy Dalton. Why wouldn't you just keep Mitchell Trubisky for, like, the exact same amount of money? Where he could turn out to be, like, you know, potentially good. I know you don't think he's good, but, like, he could turn out to be better, right? Whereas Andy Dalton, he's ancient, okay? He's not as old as I say he is, but, like, he's still pretty old. He's not going to get any better. And you're just getting a downgraded position where you're probably have to pay more. It just doesn't make any sense. They signed Desmond Trufant, the replacement for Kyle Fuller, who they cut. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know how much money he got, so I can't really say for now. But cutting Kyle Fuller is just, it's not the move. I know they were probably, I think they were planning on trading him to the Seahawks for Russell Wilson, which I honestly think that the Seahawks are taking that deal. But I do not blame that at all for not taking that deal. But yeah, man, I heard them they were getting trade offers for Kyle Fuller. So why would you not accept like a 4th round for Kyle Fuller? Whatever. Again, I was being charitable. I should probably not be charitable. It should probably be like a D. Whatever. It's fine. Anyways, like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. AFC's coming up next, so make sure you subscribe. Do all the YouTube stuff. See you guys next time.